So when I was little, like a little girl, I always dreamed about being a detective. I so desperately wanted to be a detective. That was a motivating factor for a lot of the things that I did throughout the younger years of my life, shall I say. It kind of morphed into, well, I don't want to be a cop. So I figured the best way to get to the goal that I wanted would be to join the FBI. As a teenager, I was determined to do this because this would be very akin to detective work. I ended up quitting cheerleading when I was 14 years old, so first year of high school, to basically join JROTC, which is Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. The goal at that point was at some point join the military, and I was okay with being a career officer in the military if I was unable to make it into the FBI. By my senior year in high school, I ended up getting or I guess I was awarded, or I earned a $100,000 scholarship to join the senior ROTC program at Vanderbilt University, which was my college, my first college of choice. And so super excited about that. And I was still on that path, right, to be a detective in some way, shape, or form. Moving forward a couple of years, something wasn't right with my body. I was very, very tired, to the point where basically in college I could not go to class anymore because for some reason I think people are too hard on themselves. I just assumed, well, obviously it's just me being lazy. Otherwise, I would be going to class and I would be going to all of these events and making friends and all of those things. I was able to make a friend via coaching gymnastics. I was also a former gymnast and I loved the sport. I still love the sport today. We moved in together, so I was just barely squeaking by regarding my grades. I was a busy person, so I would go to classes at 8 o'clock in the morning, be done at 3 or 4, then drive about an hour to go coach until 8. Anytime I got a break, I would go to sleep. My partner came home. I got out of bed to greet them and I basically ran into a wall. I was just like, whoa, well, I just woke up from a nap, I'm super dizzy, and then I went to go lie back down. It wasn't until nighttime that, I kind of started waking up a little bit more, being a little bit more active. But, I was watching TV laying down with my partner and I noticed, and I'll never forget this, it was a Ford truck commercial. I noticed there were 2 trucks on screen doing the exact same thing, but I knew only one truck should be there. So in effect, I was seeing double vision. Of course, I get worried, and so I do what every reasonable person would do. I check WebMD. So what came up on WebMD was, I can't believe I remember this, but it was, I was drunk, I had a brain tumor, or I had multiple sclerosis. And so I go, oh shit, I have a brain tumor. And so that motivated me to go to the student health center the next day. So when I get there, bright in the morning, I obviously am very coherent. I am explaining what happened with the doctor, who subsequently said, were you drinking the night before? And I said, no. And also, I'm still seeing double vision. This doctor did not believe me and insisted that I had been drinking. This doctor goes, well, I guess I'll send you to the optometrist, which is an eye doctor. Go to the optometrist, and she looks at, my vision. She goes, you're definitely seeing double vision. I guess she could see that my eye was a little lazy. And she goes, I don't know why that's happening. I'm going to have to send you to the ER to get you an MRI, a brain scan. Spend all day in the ER. They do an entire workup, they do the brain scan and come back and say, hey, what we see on the brain scan, it's consistent with multiple sclerosis, they still needed to confirm with a, what is it called? A lumbar puncture. So a lumbar puncture is that the doctor or a medical professional sticks a giant needle in the base of your spinal cord. Yeah, in order to pierce a little sac, if you will, that contains cerebral spinal fluid, the fluid that surrounds your brain. And so did that, hurt like hell, and the doctor said, we will not have a confirmation until we get the lumbar puncture results. We'll have to send you on your way. Between the ER and the appointment with the neurologist, if they were to call me at any point, even the doctor said at that time, otherwise, just assume that the lumbar puncture was negative, just go to the neurologist anyways. So I didn't hear anything. It was like two and a half to 3 weeks later. And so I'm assuming like, okay, so the lumbar puncture results came back negative, so it's not MS. I wonder what it is. I go to get lost at the hospital, and at some point I find where I'm supposed to be. It is a glass door, and it says the medical practice. It is, and it says Multiple Sclerosis Center. And so at that point, my partner had come with me too. Okay, great, I do have MS because I don't know how else to react to that at the time. Essentially, I got my diagnosis confirmation via a glass door. Anyways, so I got that, and I don't know if I can do this. And a lot of things, were going through my mind, other than, it being a very American experience of going into this multiple sclerosis center and being turned away because they didn't accept my insurance. The person that operated the desk and scheduled appointments was nice enough to find a neurologist on site that they weren't associated with the multiple sclerosis center, but it was still a neurologist, and get me an appointment with a new neurologist. I'm kind of still in shock by this, and so it's just all of these things are still just seem like they just happened. And just what was going through my mind was all of the work that I had done to basically be a detective and be an FBI agent was thrown out the window. I don't know what else to say. Multiple sclerosis, or MS, derives its name from what it can look like. Let me tell you a story. When I was in kindergarten, my sister and I went to daycare where we played until my dad picked us up. One of those days was playing outside on the jungle gym, and I scraped my hand on a bolt. The result of that was tearing off a nice little chunk of my skin. I asked for a bandage, but the daycare worker I asked, I'll never forget her name was Miss Mandy, basically said, well, your dad's about to be here, just put some water on it. Anyways, that torn piece of skin resulted in a scar that I happen to carry to this day. So, just like an injury to the skin that ends up causing a scar, damage to the myelin and nerve fibers leaves behind scars. So MS gets its name from these many scars that are left behind. MS is an unpredictable autoimmune disorder that disrupts communication between the brain and body. In MS, the immune system behaves abnormally and attacks the central nervous system, the CNS, and that includes the brain, the spinal cord, and optic nerves. This attack results in inflammation that then damages the myelin sheath, the fatty substances that surround nerve fibers. or axons that relay information between cells. The inflammation can also impact the nerve fibers themselves, and even the cells responsible for creating myelin. When myelin or the nerve fibers are damaged or completely destroyed, it ends up disrupting or it stops communication among cells within the CNS. Because MS impacts the brain in a very diffuse way, symptoms across individuals with MS may be different. This is why it's pretty difficult to even diagnose. While there are differences in symptoms, there are some common symptoms in MS, although they just aren't consistent. These common symptoms in MS are fatigue, actually, which is my primary symptom, and worst symptom. I shouldn't laugh. So other common symptoms are disturbances in vision, numbness and tingling throughout various parts of the body. This symptom is often the first symptom people with MS often experience. Another common symptom is weakness and walking issues, leading to the use of a mobility aid like a cane or a wheelchair. Some more common symptoms are spasticity, which is involuntary muscle twitches, which I have a lot. There's dizziness, pain and itching. There are many, many more symptoms. So I'll actually put a link in the description box below that contains the various symptoms someone with MS may experience. Now, one thing to note is that these symptoms will differ in severity within a person who has MS. Oh, this leads me to mention that there are what's known as different types of MS. And these types are essentially classified based on how much symptoms disable those who experience MS. There are 4 types. The first one is called clinically isolated syndrome. It's where someone may never have had any symptoms before, or whatever caused them to seek medical attention. And until they have another period of time where symptoms appear, the person stays at this classification level. So basically, it's like a wait and see stage where some people never actually experience another symptom in their entire life. The second type of MS is the one that 85% of people will be diagnosed with initially, and that is relapsing remitting MS. Here, people go through periods of time where symptoms appear or worsen, then periods of stability where someone with MS will not have new or increasing neurological symptoms, and they make full or partial recovery. So the third MS type is known as secondary progressive MS. It's considered a transition from relapsing remitting MS, where people experience worsening neurological functioning over time, often resulting in accumulation of disability. The last MS type is called primary progressive MS. It's where worsening neurological functioning and accumulation of disability occurs from the onset of symptoms. There aren't really any relapses or remissions. So those are the 4 types of MS, but what causes MS remains unknown. What researchers do think is that MS is triggered by a combination of genetic susceptibility, immune system abnormalities, and environmental factors. Until about 20 or 30 years ago, there was nothing to treat MS beyond symptom management. Today, there are several treatment options, but there isn't a cure. I've tried a few treatments, and I'm currently on a treatment that can make one susceptible. I've tried various treatments myself, and I'm currently on a treatment that makes one susceptible to respiratory infections. So in a pandemic that's been shown to affect the respiratory system, people can help me and other people like me best by wearing a damn mask. It is just a piece of cloth.
Just a piece of cloth.
I've been diagnosed with MS for 13 years now, and it has substantially affected my quality of life. The primary symptom I experience is fatigue, and on an especially bad day, the fatigue I experience makes me too tired to even talk. So I don't really get out much. Especially, I don't get out to socialize because I'm just way too tired. I primarily get my social interactions via social media, most of which I don't even have to physically speak. So it's been a pretty healthy outlet for me. I often tell people that my hobby is politics. So I tend to gravitate towards political areas of social media, especially those containing leftists. To the left of liberals, because liberals are conservatives. Make me change my mind. There's a question that tends to get circulated throughout leftist part of social media, and that is, what radicalized you? This question is basically asking, what is your primary reason for being a radical leftist? I've actually never answered this question anywhere before until now. What radicalized me is having to interact with the many, many broken systems of society in order to just exist. The radical left tends to be more accepting of people with illnesses and disabilities, hidden or otherwise. They also believe that society can work and needs to work for everyone, and not just the people that actually can afford it to work for them. We see a medical system that profits from people being in very disadvantaged position. For me, it feels like a punishment. Not only am I sick, but I have to put all of my money that I would need for food and housing, it has to go towards medical costs. We on the left see the broken promises of the meritocracy that we were told exists. Like, you can do everything right. All the things you were told would allow you to succeed and accomplish your dreams. And then get something like MS, and all of that work and time and energy you put in is useless. You become the adult that I, even as a little kid, feared of being. And that is the adult who isn't living their dream. So in a way, MS radicalized me because I believe we should all live in dignity regardless of their life experiences. All right, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching all the way through. I actually have been kind of dragging my feet on this video a bit because of how personal this is for me. I don't tend to tell people about how the MS is affecting my life. I tend to just say, yeah, I have this symptom, it's particularly bad today. I don't go into any more details than that. So this is something quite new for me and I'm nervous about it, so be nice. And also I'm curious if any of you guys have had similar experiences to me or are close to people who've had similar experiences. I would love to see those comments. So please leave them below. Oh yeah, bye.